What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. Today I'll be going over the PGP basics for Mac. I see a lot of people want to know how to get into basic encryption, so this is a good place to start, and I'll try to get everything done in under 20 minutes. Let's go. Now, the GPG Keychain is the tool for MacBooks to be able to send encrypted messages so that only you and the receiver can see what you guys are talking about. So now I'll show you how to generate your own key pair so that you can begin to use it. Now, if we click the new button on the left, you'll put in your name or the name you want to go as when you're sending your messages. I'll put that in. The email address that you want associated with your key pair, and a nice password so that you don't get hacked. Let me see. I'll just use the basic password. I'm going to delete this one and make another one later. I'm just using this password for the sake of the tutorial, but normally you want to make sure that that strength bar is filled all the way up, and it might even complain. So what I'm doing here is generating my public key and my private key, and people will be able to encrypt messages that only I can read using my public key, and vice versa. I'll be able to encrypt messages that only they can read using their public key. Now here's asking if we want to upload our key to the public key servers so that people can verify that it's truly us. Normally you will want to do this because people will have no other way of ensuring that it's you. Some people don't like to upload their key to the public servers for other reasons. But for the sake of this tutorial, I won't be uploading mine, but normally you will want to. And that way people can always trust and ensure that it's you. Now we have our key pair generated. And like I said earlier, you have your public key and your private key. Your public key is what people will use to encrypt their message with when they want to send a message to you that only you can read. And when you want to send a message to someone else, you'll use their public key to encrypt the message that only they can read. And the only reason that you can read messages that are encrypted with your public key is because you have the private key that goes along with it. So now I'll show you the way to do this through the terminal. And we're going to create a file. Let's just call it encryptme.txt on the desktop. And now I'll be encrypting the message for myself, and I'll be able to read it because I contain the private key that's necessary to decrypt it. But basically, we're just choosing ourselves as the recipient of the message. So we'll put some text in here in the file that we just created. This is a test. And now I'll show you how to encrypt this through the command line. This is the long way. There's a quicker way I'll go over at the end. So then we'll type in GPG encrypt and then the name of the file. Now this is asking us who do we want to encrypt it for, and then you'll just pick the name of the person that you want the message to go to, and the terminal and the tool will encrypt the message using their public key. For our purposes, so we can read it, we'll just choose ourselves, and it'll show you who you chose, and then to end it you just press enter. And now you should see the file encryptme.txt.gpg pop up on the desktop right there. And now to decrypt it through the terminal, it's pretty much the same process. You're just changing encrypt to decrypt. So GPG decrypt, and then the name of the file that we want to decrypt. .gpg. And then since it's our public key and our private key in use, it's asking us for our password to make sure nobody else can get into it. This is where the strong password comes in handy. And there goes our message. This is a test to show you how to encrypt the file. Now remember, we can only decrypt this message because we have the private key that's associated with the public key. So just to reiterate again, you can only decrypt messages that are intended for you unless you hack somebody else's account. And another way you can open up your encrypted messages is to double click it like I just did, and the message should pop up for you right here. It'll rename it for you like it did for me. Let's get rid of that. And now we'll go over how you can sign your messages with your private key to give people a little bit more peace of mind that the message actually came from you. So let's create another file on the desktop. Let's call this one signme.txt. And this time we'll write in the file using the terminal. So let's go nano and then signme.txt. And then in here you can put whatever you want like we did before. Now something to remember or keep in the back of your mind about signed PGP messages is that you're kind of removing the anonymity behind who generated the message, because anybody with the recipient's public key can encrypt the message for them, but by signing it, you're verifying that the message came from you. So now let's go ahead and encrypt this and sign this from the terminal. The only thing that we're going to do different is we're going to put the sign flag before the file name. I'm going to press enter. Oh, I had the wrong file. Press enter. Choose our recipient. We're going to use ourselves again. And now let's exit. And we can see that we chose ourselves as the recipient again. Press enter. And now we see the encrypted and signed message on the desktop. So now let's verify this. See what we get. Oh, that was the wrong command. I'm sorry. We're not verifying the signature. We still have to decrypt the message, and GPG will take care of the rest. And look here, we have who the message is from, and we have the signature made Wednesday, May 27th, and we have that it's a good signature from Asim Brown. The ultimate trust is because we used our own public key, so it automatically has as much trust as the application can give it. Let's get rid of this. Get rid of this now. So now you know how to sign a message when you're encrypting it. Now we'll just do an example of how to send it to somebody else's public key or encrypt the message using someone else's public key. It's the exact same process, but you're just choosing a different recipient, but I'll still go through it one time. So let's put whatever we want in here. And after we get through with this, I'll show you how to generate the plain text. So maybe you're in a forum somewhere or you want to send it via email and you don't feel like attaching these files to the emails that you're sending back and forth with whoever. And the plain text way is how you can do this a little bit quicker. Let's go through this same process. This time, who do we want to send it to? And we'll use the flag this time. Can't spell today. And I think the flag goes at the end. I could be wrong. Yep. So we just had it in the wrong place. I think it goes right after GPG. That's what it looks like. Let's try it. So the -R flag is for the recipient that you want to encrypt the message for using their public key. Now you see this message, there is no assurance this key belongs to the named user. More than likely that's because they haven't uploaded their key to the public servers. Now if you don't want people getting this message when they try to encrypt messages for you, you'll upload your key to the public servers. And I think it's called something of trust, but that's the way you avoid that message. And this is just going over the user for you and verifying that it's for them. Here's their fingerprint, which is another unique way to identify them. Let's see, what else do we have here? So, do we want to use this key anyway? We'll put yes. And we have our file generated that's been encrypted using their public key. Now, since we don't have the private key that goes along with that public key, we won't be able to decrypt this message. So let's try it anyway, just so you'll see. And this is the message we get. No secret key. Private key and secret key are the same thing. People just use the terms interchangeably. So it don't really matter. Now only the team at Notepad will be able to decrypt that message. And also if you wanted to verify that fingerprint, you can do it right here. Let's make this a little bigger. And there's the trust levels that you can give people's different public keys. Now let's go over how to do the encrypting and decrypting in plain text, just in case you want to get around generating a bunch of files to send to different places. So now let's get back to our desktop. Let's create another file that we'll work out of. We'll call this plain text. Let's go ahead and open that up. Now we'll put in here whatever we want. And once we're done with this, since we're using a MacBook, we'll do the 2-finger click or right click or whatever you call it. I don't know the proper name for it. I'll show you here in a sec. So let's select everything. Go down to services. And now we have our open PGP collection options. Excuse me. We'll go to encrypt selection. And we'll have a list of users whose public key we have. We'll choose ourselves again. And let's go ahead and sign it. Now this GUI just gives you all of the power of the terminal, but in an easier format to read. And this way you don't have to touch the terminal. Let's click encrypt. It's asking us for our passphrase again. Go ahead and put that in. Hopefully your password is stronger than mine. We'll press OK. And now we have the plain text version of the PGP message. This is probably what you've seen if you've been using Reddit or um, anywhere else that's been talking about PGP. So now let's go ahead and decrypt it. And it's also telling us that there was a good signature from the encryptor, which is us. And there goes our decrypted message. And that's GPG on Mac. Hope you guys liked it. Subscribe and thanks.